Hey, Brian.Dehn here again. You've reached the third episode in my vlog, and I want to highlight a model on which much of the advice in this blog series is based. The reason I'm highlighting it now is that I'm going to refer back to this model probably in every upcoming episode. And the model's simple. Consists of two layers, the foundation or the basics, and then going above and beyond. I see these two items as being required for anyone to advance in their career. The basics are the foundation. Back in episode 2 of my vlog, I exposed several myths that some people think are going to help them advance in their career. My primary point was those myths will actually hurt or hinder or block career advancement and growth. Those myths make for a weak foundation. And anything you try and build on a weak foundation will probably not be successful. I'll hit on the foundation in the next couple episodes, including this one, and then I'll move to the above and beyond. Again, if you don't have a strong foundation, going above and beyond is not going to matter much. Okay, foundation layer. That's where you can meet the expectations of you in your current role if you do your job well. Assuming you do your job well, the above and beyond layer is where your career growth and advancement happen. That's where you go outside of what's expected of you in your current role. That's where you impact people beyond the scope of your current job description. That's where you bring value that no one expects from you. That's where you grow and advance your career. Like I said, we need to address the foundation first. In other words, put your socks on. That's what I said. Put your socks on. What am I talking about? You'll know by the end of this episode. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about half of the items that, in my opinion, are those check boxes that you need to have in place before you spend any time going above and beyond. In the next episode, I'll address the rest of those basic foundational checkbox items. And by that time, you'll have both your socks on. And after you have your socks on, I'll get into what is the more exciting above and beyond layer. So I want to make a key point about the foundational checkbox items, and that is, this is a foundation that must be constantly and consistently maintained through the life of your career. It's not a foundation that you build once and then you're done. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Working on this foundation must be part of your daily habitual routine. You need to be doing these things every day, every week, throughout your career. Doing your job well must be part of the core of who you are. I want to ask you a couple questions, and only you can answer these for yourself. Where do you want to be in your career? Are you already where you want to be, or is where you want to be still out there in front of you? Another question. Are you content with doing well in your current job and meeting expectations, or are you driven to go above and beyond and exceed expectations? The reason I ask is that some people are satisfied with where they are and what they're doing, and that's totally fine. Don't hear me wrong. That is totally fine. Both types of people are needed. This vlog series, however, is about growing and advancing your career, which means if you want to move forward, you need to go above and beyond. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you decide to go above and beyond, you need to plan for doing that over the long term. Okay, first 4 checkbox items, then I'll wrap up this episode. First, bring your best. You're going, seriously? That's what you have to tell me? Bring your best, that's it? Yes, that's what I'm telling you. That's an attitude you need to carry for the long term in this marathon, and it needs to permeate everything you do. You need to be known for bringing your best every time. When people think of you, they need to know that when they reach out to you for help, they're always going to get your best every time. This factors directly into your reputation, and that's a key component of your brand. We'll talk about your brand in a future episode. I'm going to call out somebody, Sean Klein. He doesn't know this. I know that whenever I reach out to Sean for help with PowerStore or Unity or whatever, he's not going to give me a short, terse answer or worse yet, ignore me. He's going to give me the answer I need every time. And I know that he's going to go above and beyond and give me answers for questions on that topic that I haven't even thought to ask yet. Be known for bringing your best every time. Second, do your job with excellence. Do your job with excellence. So far, I'm guessing you're thinking these checkbox items are pretty basic, and you're exactly right. That's the definition of the foundation, the basics. But I feel I need to call these out because you might actually be surprised that a lot of people just blow these off. And that's what they become known for. So, excellence. There's a lot more to be said about pursuing excellence in your work than I can say now, but I'll sum it up with this. Excellence should be at the center of everything you do. Yes, pursuing excellence means the quality of your work is probably going to be high, and that's a given. But it also means that people are generally going to want to work with you because they know what they're going to get from you. And these people are going to tell other people about you, and your reputation is going to grow and grow to the point your reputation will precede you. People will hear about you because of your reputation before they ever meet you. And in my opinion, the best part about pursuing excellence is that feeling of satisfaction that you get when you know you've done your job with excellence. You know you've given your best. You've brought your best. You can stand back and look at the work you produced and have a level of internal satisfaction that you would not have otherwise. That just feels good. But bring your best, do it with excellence, and now we need to get down into the mud a little bit. What I mean is all those basic responsibilities and requirements of your job, the ones that probably aren't very fun, you need to do them. Do them consistently and do them well. Doesn't sound very exciting, I know, but absolutely required as part of you building a strong foundation for your career. What are those basic responsibilities? Stuff like updating Salesforce for opportunities, entering your tasks in Salesforce, mandatory training, any reporting requirements, and so on. Yeah, those things. Think about it this way. You can actually use those basic responsibilities to set yourself apart and make yourself look good by doing them before everyone else, and so your manager doesn't have to remind you. The flip side of this is not doing your basic responsibilities is a good way to get on the bad list. And you never want to be on a bad list when you're pursuing advancement in your career. Take all these potentially negative things off the table and turn them into positives. And doing your basic responsibilities with excellence is a great way to do that. So last, for this episode, know your strengths and weaknesses. Everyone has a different mix of strengths and weaknesses, but not everyone has a clear picture of what their mix is. So my recommendation to you is figure out what yours are and use them to your advantage. Figure out what your strengths are and then leverage them. Figure out what your weaknesses are and then either work around them or work on them to eliminate them as weaknesses. Honestly, what I've seen is chances are you'll get more value out of working around your weaknesses than putting the time and effort into eliminating them as weaknesses, but that's up to you. So, what are a few tools you can use to understand your strengths and weaknesses? My first recommendation is this: Start with yourself. Do a self-analysis. Ask yourself questions like, what skills and abilities come naturally to me? What can I work on for hours and not get tired or burned out? What types of tasks take me longer than other people to complete? In what areas do I struggle? Here's a thought. Ask yourself these questions and then run your answers by someone you know and trust to get their feedback. And then compare their answers with yours. Do they match or are they different? Do you have an accurate view of yourself, or do other people see you differently than you see yourself? Other people may even bring up things about yourself that you've never even realized. It could be eye-opening. The last suggestion I have on this topic is to do a more formal self-assessment, like a personality test. Not to figure out if you have a personality, of course, but to help you figure out what your personality is. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? There are many tools out there, and you may have heard of them, like Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram Type Indicator Test, DISC, which stands for Dominance, Influence, Steadiness, and Compliance. Got it? StrengthsFinder, and so on. Google personality tests, and you'll find quite a few of these self-assessments out there. Take 2 or 3. See what they say about you. And maybe it's obvious, but the idea is to leverage your strengths and mitigate your weaknesses. Get the most out of who you are. Okay, wrapping up this episode, we talked about bringing your best, doing your job with excellence, keeping current on the grunge work, and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. In the next episode, I'm going to hit the remaining 4 checkbox foundational items, and then I'm going to get into the above and beyond items. So thanks for, oh, wait a minute. Socks. Put your socks on. What does put your socks on mean? When you play basketball, the most foundational part of your equipment is your shoes and socks. Now, John Wooden was a legendary basketball coach at the University of California in Los Angeles, and the first thing he showed his players at their first meeting each season was how to put their socks and shoes on properly. You must not allow your socks to have wrinkles around the little toe or the heels, because you get blisters. Take the extra time to make sure you smooth out the wrinkles and then hold your socks up while you're putting your shoes on. He knew that basketball players must have a strong foundation, being their feet, before they could ever think about excelling on the court. Getting blisters on their feet would undermine everything else they did or attempted to do. Socks. Thanks for listening, and tune into my next episode of So You Want to Be a Principal, where I'll talk more about socks. See ya.